Hello, students, and welcome back. Today, Mr. Armstrong teaches sentence types, simple and compound. This is a continuation of a video about clauses that I've already posted. There will also be a third video, sentence types, that involves complex and compound complex sentences. But for this video, we're just going to be looking at simple and compound sentences. Let's get started. How about some definitions? First up, a simple sentence. A simple sentence is simply an independent clause. It has a subject and a predicate. It can stand all by itself. It is a complete thought. Couldn't be any simpler. In the previous video, we learned that independent clauses are different than dependent clauses because they are independent. They can be all by themselves. And so an independent clause could also be its own sentence because it's all by itself. Did you write it down? I hope so, because now it's time for compound. This one's a little bit longer, but the idea, I think, is still pretty simple. A compound sentence has at least two independent clauses. So it's two independent clauses smooshed together into the same sentence. These two independent clauses have related ideas, which is why they're in the sentence together. Independent clauses can be joined by coordinating conjunctions, often easily remembered by the acronym FANBOYS. We'll see a list of those in a little bit. But they can also be joined with a semicolon, and we'll take a look at an example of that as well. But the most important thing, the basic thing, is that a compound sentence is basically like taking two simple sentences and smushing them together into one sentence, using coordinating conjunction or a semicolon to join them into the same sentence. Got it? I hope so. If not, perhaps some examples will help. Let's begin with some examples of simple sentences. Take a look at the first one. The dog ate the steak. Lucky dog. This is a simple sentence. It's also an independent clause. It has a subject, it has a predicate, it has a verb. It can stand all by itself. It is a complete thought. Very simple. The dog ate the steak. Dog is the subject. I've underlined that once. Ate is the verb. I've underlined that twice. Steak would be considered a direct object, but this is a simple sentence. It is a complete thought, a complete idea. It can stand by itself independently. Let's look at another. My friend is going to her house. Once again, we have a single subject, a single verb. We have a subject and a predicate, and this is a complete thought, a complete idea. It is a simple sentence. And now that I've marked it up, we see that it has a single subject, friend. It has a verb phrase, is the helping verb, helping the main verb going. And then we have a prepositional phrase at the end, to her house. But it is a complete thought. It is independent. It doesn't need anything else to make sense. It makes sense just as it stands. And so it's an independent clause. And with that period at the end and the capital letter at the beginning, it is a simple sentence. So that subject-verb agreement is only happening once. Now, take a look at this example. This is a longer sentence, for sure. After the family reunion, my sisters and my mother might be going to the beach. There's a lot of information in here. There's a lot going on. But if we break it up, if we start to look at the different parts and mark them, it would look like this. And here we see that after the family reunion is a prepositional phrase. It's not a clause. To the beach is also a prepositional phrase, not a clause. We can go ahead and eliminate those two things from the sentence, and the sentence should still make sense. My sisters and my mother might be going. A complete thought, a complete idea. And we see that while we do have two subjects, sisters and also mother, we have a compound subject, and we do have a verb phrase, this time with three verbs, might be going. We still just have one instance of that subject-verb agreement. The subjects, sisters and mother, are both connected to that verb phrase, might be going. And so once again, even though this sentence is pretty long, it's still considered a simple sentence because it just has the one compound subject and the one verb or verb phrase. Got it? Now let's take a look at that list of coordinating conjunctions. Those are the words that can sometimes join together two independent clauses. Here they are. So I couldn't decide which way to write them so that it would be easier, so I wrote them in both ways to highlight the fact that they do spell out the acronym, the word FANBOYS. But they are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And these are coordinating conjunctions. They need to be used with a comma, as we'll see in a second, but these are words that can kind of act as a glue that holds the two independent clauses together into the same sentence, into a single sentence. They have to have related ideas so that the sentence still makes sense, but these are the words. And fanboys is a nice, easy way to help you remember them. So hopefully that will be useful. But now let's take a look at some examples of compound sentences to see these coordinating conjunctions in action. Here we go. Take a look. So what I've done is I've taken our simple sentences from before and I've added more information to them. I've basically taken one independent clause that we already had, I put on my coordinating conjunction, and then I added another independent clause. And so in this example, the dog ate steak, lucky dog, but that's one of our coordinating conjunctions, he wanted more. And so if I was to mark this sentence up, we would see the dog ate the steak. That's the same as before. Dog is the subject, ate is the only verb, steak would be a direct object. Then we have our coordinating conjunction, including that comma. Notice that the comma comes right in front of the coordinating conjunction. And then we have another independent clause. He wanted more. That could be a complete sentence by itself. He wanted more. He is the subject, wanted is the verb. But what I've done is I've used a coordinating conjunction to join together two independent clauses. And now this sentence has two separate subjects, not a compound, and two separate verbs. Right? Let's look at another one. Okay. My friend is going to her house. Once again, this one's from before, but now I've added a little bit more information to it. My friend is going to her house and she will be late. So I'm going to mark this sentence up again. Friend is still a subject of that first independent clause. Is going is the verb phrase. To her house is still a prepositional phrase. And then we have our comma and our coordinating conjunction. This time I used and after that, another independent clause. She will be late. That could be a sentence all by itself, but in this instance, it's joined, creating a compound sentence. She is the subject of that second part. Will be is the verb phrase. Is it making sense? Hope so. Let's look at one more, just to be safe. Okay, this one is longer. Let's take a look at it, though. This is that long, simple sentence from before. After the family reunion, my sisters and my mother might be going to the beach. That was from before. And then I added this time, they love to relax after stressful events. This time I did not use a coordinating conjunction. Instead, I used a semicolon. Perhaps the semicolon makes it even easier to see the two independent clauses being joined together. Let's go ahead and mark this sentence up. Okay, there's a lot going on here. We have the same stuff from before. After the family reunion, still a prep phrase, sisters, mother, our compound subject, might be going to the beach. Might be going is the verb phrase. To the beach, a prepositional phrase. None of that has changed. But then I did insert a semicolon, and the second part of this is an independent clause, but it's all in the same sentence. To let the reader know, to let you know, that these two ideas are connected, that these two independent clauses fit together. They add something to each other. And so in the second part, they love to relax after stressful events. After stressful events is a prepositional phrase. They is the subject. Love is the verb that agrees with that subject. And then we have an infinitive verb, to relax. I put that in parentheses to make it stand out. Technically, that is a verb, even though it has that word to there. But in this example, we see how we have created a compound sentence putting two independent clauses together, joined with a semicolon. And I know I said this was the last one, but let's do one more just to drive yet one more point home about the semicolon. So what some of you might be wondering is, why would we need a semicolon at all? If they're two independent clauses side by side, why not just put a period and have two simple sentences? It would read the same way. And in most instances, you're probably right. In fact, there are some authors who don't use semicolons at all and think they're quite foolish. But perhaps you might want to suggest that these two things are related to each other without having to have a whole nother sentence that explains that they are related to each other. So in this example, my dad bikes to work, he stays healthy. These two ideas separately could have different implications, but by joining them with the semicolon, I'm saying that they are related. I'm saying that he stays healthy because he bikes to work, that there is a correlation there. There is a relationship between those two things, and that's what the semicolon does. If it was just a period, you might think that they were two different unrelated things, and I'm just giving you a list of things about my dad. But by putting the semicolon there, I am showing that they are related to each other, that they're connected in some way. Okay? Okay. I hope that made things a little clearer for you, because This video is over. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you learned a little something. If you have any questions, you can always post them in the comments below and I'll get back to you, or ask me in class. I hope you have a wonderful remainder of your day, and I look forward to teaching you again very soon.